Hello, and welcome to Monumental, where we sit down with entrepreneurs, leaders, visionaries, and big thinkers making monumental change. Here's your host, Evan Holiday.
Welcome to Monumental. I'm your host, Evan Holiday, and today we have on the show with us a special guest, Bobby Castro. Bobby, how you doing, man?
Thank you, Evan. Good morning. It's awesome to be on this podcast, especially yours, because I'm very close to the positive energy, and that's why I'm here spending my non-refundable minutes, man. So I'm excited, Evan.
I love it. I love it. Yes, I cannot wait to dive into that. A little background on Bobby before we get started. Bobby is a self-made business mogul. He exemplifies the transformation from entrepreneur to leader. With only a ninth grade education, he founded Bankers Healthcare Group in 2001 with an investment of just $25,000. Today, he's reached a net worth of over $300 million, and he knows that above all else, the key to scaling business is leadership. And he was recently the recipient of the prestigious Ernst Young Entrepreneur of the Year award. And he is also heavily invested in multifamily real estate with his family. Just their holdings being 2,000 units, and then outside of that, even beyond that, another 4,000 units that he's invested in. So it's massively impressive, Bobby. Let's go right in, dive right in, and go to where it all started.
Awesome. Well, thank you for all those. Every time they repeat those stats, it's even amazing to me at times, and even more so. There's so much more to do, and how it all started for me, Evan. I pretty much failed at the third grade and finished only the ninth grade when I realized school was absolutely not for me. I didn't speak till I was nearly 7 years old. I was just mumbling and very, very shy. Call it an introvert, whatever you want to call it. I think teachers were frustrated with me. I was frustrated with them because when you get to know me and you do business with me, even on a personal level, I have a lot of questions. I want to know about the topic. I have to know more about it in a good spirit, in a good way. And I was one of those students, Evan, that I would constantly, because I do have a comprehension issue where I need to ask a few more questions than the average person just to be sure I get it and understand it. So they used to think I was a pain in the butt, but the honest truth was I was very curious and very hungry for the answer. So when I got to junior high, because back then the ninth grade was considered junior high, not high school as it is today, they were really frustrated with me. And I became frustrated too because they were just so negative, and not meaning that they were negative. They're a school teacher in the public system. You're managing a lot of kids, and some of the kids are rough and tough and just all crazy. So I get it. Now I get it. But back then I said, this is not the environment I want to be in. And I told my mom, who was a waitress, 3 full-time jobs, early in the morning when you and your friends come from a late wedding or a night out. You're 5 in the morning at Denny's. Back then it used to be called Sambo's before Denny's. That was my mom waiting on you 5 in the morning, the graveyard shift. And then she would come home, shower for a couple hours, get ready. And then 2 hours later, 3 hours later, or a few, just head to the next restaurant. And she worked at Pasquale's restaurant on Red Road in Hialeah. And then at night, the Roni Pub Steakhouse. So my mom had 3 full-time waiting jobs.
Wow.
And I told my mom, and we were completely financially struggling, living on rent-a-center, meaning that because you can't afford a bed and a nightstand and a coffee table, and you don't even have the credit to finance one. It's a company that's still around, Rent-A-Center. Yeah. And we used to rent a table and a bed, and every week that payment came due. And it was so much back and forth, picking it up, repoing it, redelivering it.
Wow.
And I said, Mom, I want to leave school. I want to help you. This is not for me. She didn't give me one pushback, Evan. It's crazy. I can't even imagine that. Even how aggressive I am in life. At my son comes to me at ninth grade to tell me that. He did tell me that his first year in college, he had that conversation with me, but not at 14 years old. And my mom didn't have pushback. She supported me. Let's rock and roll. I don't know what she said exactly, but she knew something I didn't know. Yeah. And it started from there. And I got she got me my first job. I was a busboy and a takeout order dude at Pasquale's at the Italian restaurant. And I was the best, man. I was really so excited. Even today, my ha-ha moment was to get my first job at Pasquale's. I'll never forget. We went to Kmart and Payless. Kmart to buy the black slacks and white pin down shirt with a collar, and ran to Payless to get my black shoes and my belt. And it's the best moment of my life. Even today at 53 years old, I just turned, married 30 years. That is without a doubt my haha moment. But it started there, but it was a tremendous amount of challenges post that. A lot of mistakes because I had no mentorship. I had nothing. I just had this eagerness and hunger because my mom eventually got me a job at Don Shula's Country Club, where I started seeing these individuals play golf on Tuesdays and Wednesday, and very nice. And I would hear them talk. I was so fixated on, they're here on a Monday playing. And I would just shine the clubs and just hear them talk and see how they walked. And I was just so fascinated with this whole new environment that I didn't have at the other restaurant. And it just triggered a lot of excitement. And then from there, another job from there, started many businesses. And one business I started was a janitorial cleaning service. My mom, we rented all our life. And finally, a beautiful couple told my mom, Casey, we want to give you owner financing. She bought the darn thing for like $27,000. Years later, I said, Mom, I want to mortgage the house. Back then, it wasn't a HELOC. It was called a second mortgage. I went on the flyer in South Florida, and I went to Woody. His name was Woody. I'll never forget that because I'm here in the Florida Keys spending my quarantine, and there's something called Woody's down here. So I always laugh about it. And I went, and I actually took the Big Blue. The Big Blue is heel toe. You got to get on the bus, pay the 25 cents. And I can't believe he gave me the time and day to look. He saw something again. And I went home. I said, Mom, we can get a second mortgage for $25,000. And she said, yes, man. She said, yes. It's insane.
Wow.
I got into business. I struck out. I completely failed, Evan. It was a janitorial commercial situation. I would go to offices, go to establishments. They would never give me. I was very young. I didn't have the proper insurance, the proper whatever it takes. And then I knocked on a door called Pink Pussycat on 36th Street in Miami, next to the airport. And it was an adult establishment. And I knocked on the door and they gave me the job. They said, yeah, we'll give you this deal. Come at wee hours in the morning, clean it all up, get it ready. I did that. And then I noticed they said yes to me. And then I started going to the same profile. And they said yes to me because they were a little freestyle of it. And I had no pushback. But then, unfortunately, one of the entertainers mentioned a comment when my dad and I were there. My dad passed when he's 94. He said, help me clean. How old is this kid? He shouldn't be here. So that was the end of that deal and all the other deals of the accounts. And I gave up on it. I used it as an excuse without knowing it was an excuse. And that monkey on my back of that $25,000 was a horrible thing through a number of years. It was $250. I'll never forget. I mean, it was expensive. And I started many businesses. I'm fast tracking it a little bit. In one business, I started with $1,700. And again, I was waiting on tables at the Rusty Pelican in Key Biscayne at night. During the day, I was selling memberships on the phone. And then I had another gig where I wanted to get into finance. And I started a business with $1,700. My mother-in-law gave me the money. I was living at her house, no car, completely broke, just constantly trying everything, always trying to rush it. I didn't have any source or resource of information. I kept failing because I kept not starting at the stage I was at. I don't know if that makes sense. And I kept trying to pivot way to a stage that I had no business to be in, and I constantly failed. I finally got it because I was forced to get it because constantly mistakes. And for some reason, I never gave up. And I contribute that to my mother. She always says, Bobby, don't give up. Don't give up. You can do things special. She was just, my dad was very passive. He was a postman, 14, 15 children. He had me when he was 50. My mom was 27. I was born in the Bronx in New York, and my dad was very passive. There was no motivation to make that extra dollar. He was such a beautiful, and I think I get the kindness from my dad, but he wasn't hungry for it. Matter of fact, he retired when he was 62 years old, Evan, and we were so broke. And looking back, I say to myself, I don't know how dad retired at 62 under that environment. and he was healthy. My dad lived until 94. He was a vegetarian, walked. I mean, he was just, he was into different things, maybe ladies. I don't know. Everyone gets fixated on different industries. So I started this business, man. The same business that I just exited 8-9 months ago, June of last year, for $1 billion, $1 billion valuation. No investors, no syndication, no, didn't spend the energy on that. And I'm grateful for that, because I didn't realize there was people out there to give you that, but I don't think no one would take a gamble on me, even if I knew that. So I started the business, and 20 years later, I exited for $1 billion. I could have exited for far more, but the terms were extremely hassle-free. And I want to get into something with a lot of your viewers. Information is so powerful, but more so only when it has bona fide content. And I'll give you an example of what I'm saying. They came a few years ago, hey, we want to buy your company based on a $250 million valuation. We want to buy 30% of it. And we want to just buy it. And sure enough, they bought it. It closed. I got the wire transfer in my account. And I said, wow, and why would someone overpay? I mean, are they absolutely out of their mind? What? And then you become curious. You start looking for information. You start becoming obsessed with good information for the intent of you need to know it. My gosh, Evan, they stole it. The $250 million valuation.
Really?
They stole it. They had information I didn't know. They knew what they were doing. I didn't know what I was doing. I said, no problem. 11 months later from that day, went back to the same seller. They had a first right refusal, big institution, $26 billion institution. And the first one was all cash. Hey, you have a first right refusal and you've been a great investor, great partner, but we want to now take 19% off of the table and still control and own 51% post that. But you have first right refusal and we want to give you that opportunity. Oh, perfect, excited. But it's 600 million, it's not 250. And this is 11 months later. They said, that's insane, that's unthinkable. Well, it closed. Again, all cash. So we took it from 250 to $600 million by having information, and we took action. Then we put more fuel, threw more fire to that wood. 3 years later, 4 years later, I don't know what it is, took it to valuations were like 1.6 billion. And that's when I exited for $1 billion based on, again, all cash, no terms. It was hassle-free based on my terms. Throughout the years, I was building up a portfolio of apartments, and I started at one time, I made huge mistakes. I started big, just like I did many years ago, even learning my lessons from it, and more so proving out that you cannot start big. You have to start at the stage you're at, i.e. my company I sold. But then I fell victim. I was comfortable. I had a little cash. This is way before the first $250 million, years before. And I started big, buying apartments, big, went crazy in 05, 04, overpaid, over leveraged, bought about $80 million worth of apartments.
Wow.
And I was going to convert them into condos. We all had great intentions, but the market forces, the economy, the hurricanes just crushed us. I said, never, ever again, I will put myself in that position. Shame on me. I can't believe I fell victim again. And that's why I always tell people, stay on high alert of your weaknesses. If we don't become weak when we're entrepreneurs, we become very confident with a lot of conviction. So we built, Sophie and I, my wife of 30 years, this October 6th, we built a $300 million multifamily portfolio that gives a positive cash flow every month to my family and I, my children, my grandchildren, $300,000 to $400,000 a month, every month, no tax implication. And we built that slowly. And, it's amazing looking back and seeing, it's just not Bobby Castro. It was my wife, Sophie. She's my partner in life. And without her and my mom, this would not be possible. So now our fixation is legacy, generational wealth. We are working harder than ever because we have grandchildren. Nobody in my pipeline, my family, sacrificed. They were all selfish. No one sacrificed them. Do the hard, make the hard decisions. Don't overspend. You don't have to be flashy and dancy to prove out things. What's important to me and Sophie is our legacy. So I hope that's a long answer to your question.
No, I love it. I love it. No, this is like the mini iterations of Bobby Castro, right? I mean, it's amazing to hear the so many ups and downs and the lessons and the different businesses, and I'm sure there's many more that we didn't even hear about, and so many chances that you took on yourself, and like you hit on, I mean, it sounds like to me that it's that strong belief that others had in you, like your mother early on, and saying, go do it, like, keep pushing, and your wife Sophie. I mean, it sounds like having those strong partners and belief in you is what helped give you some of the confidence you needed to really to boost and excel when everybody.
And I had to stay positive, man. There's something that's trademark. I don't trademark it because it's a business. It's not a business. I don't do this for a living, but it means so much to me. PMA all day, every day. Positive mental.
Got it on the shirt. Yeah.
And I'll tell you why that's important to me and why people should really pay attention to it, and more so even go out and run out and get a great book. It's been around for a number of years called The Secret. If you read it, read it again, especially the crisis we're in today. It's an awesome, awesome read. If you dive into it, you don't give up on it, you'll be so surprised what you can manifest in your life. But you remember that takeout story? I left school and I walked. Pasquale's was so close. We used to walk. That's why my mom got the job at Sambo's and Pasquale's. It was walkable.
Yeah.
She didn't have a car. I loved the job so much, and that's why it was a ha-ha moment, because I didn't want to go back home, because back home was really a financial struggle, a lot of personality. Remember, my dad had a lot of kids. My mom and dad, they stayed married, but they didn't get along throughout the years. It was just a lot of drama, a lot of negativity. So when I used to go back to Pasquale's, it got me so feeling Dr. Feelgood that I didn't want to go back home.
Yeah.
So when I had to go back home, I would crash because it was so negative. When I went back to work, it was so bright and positive, but I was just back and forth, and that's what leaves people stuck. At least for me, it did. I had to find a way to be positive when I entered that environment that I was trying to ignore, but I had to enter it. It was part of my life at that stage.
Yeah.
And it all started there. PMA, man, positive mental attitude. You'll be so surprised if you bury yourself in it. You will see how powerful it is. It will give you so much global dividends in life, but only when you're not distracted. And when you're distracted by so many friends, so many family members, that's a full-time job itself. You're never going to get it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the PMA really comes out, especially when you're doing your self-talk, right? Like that's what it is. It's you talking to yourself in your head and saying more positive things and pushing yourself to be more confident in yourself and your thoughts and your actions than negative.
Right.
And like you said, like the friends and family, like, any thoughts that come into your head are going to have an effect on your psychology and your psyche.
So you hit it right on the money there. And that's a danger of really getting distracted and feeding off of maybe other things you shouldn't be feeding off of. I'm here in the Florida Keys, and what I'm doing, and I think hopefully a lot of people should do, and I'm getting excited, man. Talk about, I'm looking back. Sophie and I are spending a lot of time. What did we do? Even we continue to fall victim. We're never, life is an evergreen. It's a value add. You can never outgrow it. We're looking back saying, okay, what did we do wrong pre-virus event? What can we should have, could have, would have? What are we going to do now? Because crisis forces innovation, forces change. This is the secret of life. Try to do that without a crisis. It's amazing. Imagine being always in the crisis mode, how much you can get done. I am so positive right now, even through all this darkness, because I can't wait to get on to post-virus, because there's so many things I'm going to do differently in a good, positive way, and it gets me positive. I start feeling good.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I think you're exactly right. Like, especially with what we're going through right now, we're going through a crisis, and who knows? I mean, a couple of years from now, we're going to go through a different crisis. Like, it's inevitable. There's going to be more unexpected events that are going to come up. And so it's just a matter of how you face that fact and how you get prepared and excited for post-virus. I love that, because what we're doing, like I'm investing in my business, I'm investing in my systems, I'm investing in my, basically building out my SOPs so that way I can just hand off everything that I've been doing that I shouldn't be doing to hand it off to other people as soon as this is over.
And when you hand those things off to other people to help you scale what worked for me, this is no BS, guys. This is so powerful. I'm begging people to buy into it, at least surrender to it, give it a try, man. Kindness. You'll never, ever get a no. And in business, in the world, the less you just simply win by giving this energy out, being kind to others with no intentions, expect nothing in return. Well, Bobby, why should I do that? I'm telling you guys, life is going to return you and reward you in the biggest crazy way. I'm not Catholic. I'm not Christian. I don't know what I am. I was raised Catholic, and then my mom said, let's go to the Baptist church because they've been so nice to us. They gave us coffees and donuts. My mom was we were struggling, dude, struggling.
Yeah.
And then my dad was Puerto Rican. My mother's Jewish and Irish. Her dad was Jewish, obviously, and then we would go on Friday to the temple to get the bagels. We were all over the place on survival mode. And I'm telling you, I don't know what is out there, but there is a return when you're kind, truly kind, not pretending, truly kind. And I'm telling you, I made fortunes financially, but forget about the financial rewards. The way I freaking feel, I can't tell you, it's like zillions and zillions of dollars if you look at it as a financial. I mean, I call it stack and rack, stack your money so you can rack investments. I am so stacked of life in me that the rack is like a lay down.
Yeah. You're getting me pumped up, and this is over Zoom, man. Like, I feel your energy, and I was telling you right before we hopped on, like, I just love your high energy, high octane. Like, you can tell you really feel what you're saying, and you really believe what you're saying. And you feel like it's really important to get this message out there because people need to know. And a lot of people don't know, or they don't care to know. So I think you hit it head on. It's like, look, guys, like, this is real. It works. It's worked for you. It's worked for others. And, it's something, what I also love hearing is that you went from, a shy kid that got kicked out of school or wanted to get out of school, and then basically to where you are today, like so many iterations of now you're like, your energy is high. You're everywhere. You're just crushing it, man. So I commend you for that.
Thank you, man. That means a lot. And I'm so urgent about it. And there's something I call massive urgent action. And because I want people to know, man, and they need to attack now. Don't wait on this because life is amazing, especially in the country we live in, man. I was on a 2-month crusade, my wife and I, after we sold our company, and I'm close to an organization in Africa, man, and it's a sad story. Man, I came back a better person from that trip, and out of this crisis, I hope each and every one of us come out better.
Yeah. Communicate
better. Ego is not your amigo. Don't live someone else's life. Live your life. Don't get distracted because your minutes are non-refundable. If you want life to reward you handsomely, whatever you want out of it, whether it's financial rewards, how you feel good, how you stay healthy, how you think, you control that, man.
Yeah.
If most people understand that, they'll say, my God, what have I been doing for all these years? And that's why I'm so urgent when you hear me on social media. I'm just telling, and I don't know how else to explain it, but yell and you gotta do it.
Exactly. I love that. Yeah. Honestly, it's like, man, this Bobby Castro guy's everywhere and his energy is just off the charts. Like, I love it. I was like,
my son convinced me, man. Brandon, he's 23 years old. What a beautiful son I have. Priscilla too. She's 29. She just turned 29. My 2 grandbabies, Ocean, who's 4, Oakley, who's 2, my son-in-law, Eddie, who's 29. But Brandon, when I was in the midst of negotiating my deal, when I exited, Evan, he says, Dad, man, can I get you on social media? Oh, Brandon, for what? Because we do a lot of boating, and I'm always with my children, and they're with their friends, and it's just, and they're young millennials, and they're picking my brain. They're getting so much value. This is what Brandon's telling me. Man, let me just put you a little bit on social media, Dad. You can stop when you want to stop. And I just think that you can give value to others. I may need it because you pour out your heart so much to my friends that sometimes I think that you're going to drain all your energy. So we might as well hit as many people on social media versus just a few individuals.
I love it. I love it. And speaking of which, as far as like what we talked about previously, like right now, you're in the middle of a crisis. Like what advice do you have for our listeners to really like come out of this tenfold ahead and taking that urgent, massive action?
I love it. What Sophie and I are doing, and this applies at no matter what level you're at. And maybe some people may disagree, saying, well, Bobby, it's easy for you. You know, you keep saying you're worth $300 million, but we don't have a nickel or a window to throw out of right now. We're really, it's getting scary. I understand it. I too was there. Please consider this. Get off the TV, get off the internet, get off of everything. Get a pen and a pad. If you're married, get your spouse. Do not argue. Do not point fingers. Right now, it's frustrating. It's going to get even more frustrating here soon. Find out what we did wrong, what we kept procrastinating. I'm not going to say criticize yourself, but start looking at all your mistakes as a team or even as yourself. You got to get there first, Evan. As what worked for me, I used to attempt to do that, but unless you get there inner and you surrender to the fact of being accountable, of saying, you know, I just can't believe I have $200 in my savings account. How did this happen? I mean, I'm driving a Lexus. What happened? Well, you got to go back to your behaviors, your routines. What did I do wrong? Because you got distracted with a lot of things. The more important thing is, what are we going to do post this situation? That gets very exciting. But before you start talking about posts, you got to start talking about pre-mistakes. And for the ones that are struggling without a job right now, and there's going to be it's going to be bad, man. There's a lot of companies hiring. I'm going to give you a quick story, and I think I posted it. It was a millennial, my daughter's friend, beautiful lady. Beautiful young person. She was a ticket broker, selling, doing well. Mm-hmm. That industry dried up within days. This was maybe 2 weeks ago. She was just freaked out. She didn't want to surrender to vulnerability and being humble to get any job, regardless, as long as it's not harming somebody, it's not illegal. She went to Whole Foods. She could never, ever fathom to do that. And I'm so glad she took my advice, because I was there, guys. I had a business doing somewhat fairly good, at least I thought, but I was doing better than I was doing before I opened that business. The business crashed, burned. I made a ton of mistakes. I got to the stage where I had to be accountable, Evan. And guess what? I had to start working at Rusty Pelican and Key Biscayne. I used to wait on tables of customers. Those customers were people that I used to sit down with at the Rusty Pelican. Wow. I became that's where humbleness took place in my life. That's when I can care less what anyone thought, as long as I was kind to them. I had a daughter. She was a little baby, my baby Priscilla, who's 29 years old. And that's what this young lady did. So if that's you and you're listening to this, it's so important. Nothing matters other than your life. This is your life. Do not care. Do not say, I can never work at Amazon. I can never go work at Costco. I was a VP of sales. Well, you better start surrendering to life, because if you think you're going to fight life that way, man, I don't know the outcome. I just found it easier the other way that I'm recommending.
Yeah, with kindness and no ego.
That's it. It costs nothing.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
I love it. I love it. Well, let's dive into our monumental questions. I know we just got a few minutes left here. What does success mean to you?
You're going to hear me. I don't know how much you listen. I call global success. And I say that over and over. I used to tell my employees of 600, you want global success. What success to me means, it has to have global before success. And global success means how my family is, how are we health. I have so much global success. I'm so grateful for it. My kids, my grandchildren, my wife, my mom, we're all healthy. We're all happy. We all communicate. We're all kind. We don't take advantage of others. We're not disrespectful. Just that is huge wins. That's success. The financial, I used to be all about financial before, obsessed with money. Yeah. Because I was so much obsessed. But then when I started wiggling it with what I was talking about, scale came. People wanted to do business with me. People wanted, Bobby, I will run with you. Let's build this. Let's create this. And then guess what? We built this company, and there's millionaires from this company. It wasn't just about, we actually shared into the growth. That's global success when you make others successful. Right now, my employees of that all of our properties pay for, including my staff, internal staff, asset investment staff at Ortsac, all of them have jobs today. That is my number one priority right now.
Yeah.
I'm always about my team, because that's what a true leader does. They have character. You stay steady. You prepare yourself for events like this. This event is an unthinkable event. You can never prepare for something like this, but now we're starting to think about this in the future, I guarantee you. So global success is so much other than money. Money has something to do with it, because you do need the economics in order to put out some fires, help others. Without economics, I couldn't have gone to Africa and be part of this beautiful organization for 5 years to help. So global success is more than financial rewards, man. And that's, I'll tell you, man, there's no better feeling. I don't care. I see all these people driving around all these Ferraris, which is cool. I get it. But it's just not me, man. I want more in life than I can have a Ferrari. I could probably have, I don't know, maybe 20 of them I wanted, but it's not important to me.
Yeah.
I have some toys. Yeah. But global success, man, that's what success to me is.
I love that. I love that definition. And what about daily habits or morning rituals?
I get up every morning at 5 a.m. Right now, I'm getting up at 3:30 in the morning since this crisis, because I'm on such high alert. I get up at 5 a.m. I work on myself. Well, no, I hit emails first for about a good solid hour. I have a lot of emails. And what I do is I just really go to the priority emails. I leave the other stuff later in the day, because obviously my minutes are non-refundable. I'm trying to maximize every minute I can get out of that 60 seconds. After that, then I work on myself personally. I do a lot of personal growth, a tremendous amount of reading. I used to not be a good reader. I am a great reader now. I can read very, very fast. There's a book I'm involved now. I'm getting back into it. The Principles from Ray Dalio. I've been through the book before, and I can tell everyone right now, people, we have, unfortunately, some downtime here and there. This book is amazing. Before, and I'm one that loves the finances and investments. I had a hard time with it. It's 170 plus chapters. Right now, dude, this thing is like, I love the whole thing. So if anyone is into books, start with The Secret and then work your way up to the Principles. They're completely night and day. But I work on myself a lot, Evan, a lot. I spend a lot of alone time. I may be very exciting when you see me on because I'm about helping people, but I'm the total opposite. I'll go back and I'm going to dig through some investments that I'm involved in, how I'm going to, what am I going to do about them? What am I going to do posts about them? So I spend a lot of alone time. And when you spend alone time, Evan, it's sometimes so awesome because we don't lie to ourselves when we're alone.
Yeah, you can't.
We do not lie to ourselves when we're alone. It's just so, and then I work out. I have a trainer. I think health is very important because I'm so blessed to be healthy. I want to live more, man. I want to get every freaking minute. I'm gonna have so much work to do for my grandbabies. And then I go to bed, and then during the day I'm working, talking, having a lot of meetings lately. And I would say I'm in bed by 8:30. In bed at 8:30.
Yeah. That sounds like a great day.
Yeah, it's, being productive. Just focus, two things you need to focus on, guys. Value, value, value. Focus on anything you do, value. If you're taking a walk around the block, make sure you're getting value. Walk, don't cruise. If you're working out, work out. If you are, if you're being intimate with your partner, be intimate. Give value. Whatever you're doing, if you're having a conversation like I am with this podcast, I'm focused on giving value to others because it's going to show up back somehow, some way. So value is everything, and be productive, man. If you give value and just stay on high alert about being productive each and every minute, you're going to get so much out of life. Well, Bobby's not all about money. I like to go surf, and I do it too. I paddleboard. You can do it. If you pay attention to your minutes, you will find time to do those.
Yeah, I love it. Guys, take Bobby up on that. That's some monumental value right there. Just the advice and the hands-on experience that he's had to be able to share all this, So I commend you, Bobby, again. As far as books, I know you touched on Principles and The Secret. So
and he's a great, there's on Ray Dalio, he's really, really good. You can get him on YouTube a little bit. It's really good.
Yeah.
And the reason I like Ray Dalio, he has such a heart, and it's very important, guys. When you're listening or receiving information, before doing so, quickly find out, is there a motive of the information that I'm being fed to?
Yeah.
What does this information want from me? How do they want to possibly manipulate maybe? And sometimes that's good. You got to change your mind. You got to find new ways.
Yeah.
But motives and intentions when it comes to information is everything. I used to dive into so much information that came with so many motives and bad intentions.
Mm-hmm.
And man, I got jammed up. So remember, you have the choice, especially now, beautiful people, you're on social media. You don't value, you don't have to pay for value. Everyone thinks that just because I'm not paying somebody $1,000, oh my God, Bobby, tell me the magic wand in life. There's something called Google. You can get so much on Google, YouTube. Go to people like Ray Dalio, who has a beautiful heart. He's worth $20 billion, but he's more about than money. He wants others to succeed. He has no motives. He doesn't want a nickel from you. I mean, how do you ignore that? But people say, no, I want to pay.
Yeah. And like you said, I mean, he's been so rapid, like so amazingly successful for so many decades in his investment. Now he's like, hey, I want to share everything I've learned. And that's exactly what he's pouring out into his writings.
That's what people should dive into. People like that come to a life saying, okay, I've impacted lives. I've employed people. I was kind. Now I want to give back. And I'm big in charities. I do financial charities, but there's a charity that I'm doing on social media. Is just giving information.
Yeah.
And I don't want nothing from nobody, man. Nothing. I just want you to freaking win. I don't know how long I'm going to be doing this for. I've already made over $3 million. I think it's close into investments from people I met like you. Just because of relationships, the power of a relationship.
Yeah.
I would have never met these individuals if I wasn't on social media. And I am so surprised. There's some hungry, awesome individuals like you, Evan. And it's like, because I used to live in my own world. I was just in a really, not just extremely focused. And that's how I did it. So it's turning out interesting, the social media stuff.
Yeah. No, I love it. Well, keep doing you, Bobby, because you are crushing it. And thank you for bringing our monumental listeners massive value. Is there any place our listeners can follow you, reach out to you, connect with you?
Yes. My son, the Instagram, he created official Bobby Castro, and then bobbycastro.com. There's a site. And then I think it's official Bobby Castro too on Facebook. And when I'm doing this stuff, man, I just blur it out, and I just truly care, man. It's I know it's hard to believe. I know, I know it's weird. The life, that's what's even crazier about our life. It's so hard to say, man. People out there, Ray Dalio, all these, they truly care for others, and they want to see, that Casey who was a waitress get through in life, and I'm for everyone, man, for everyone.
Yeah, I can feel it. Well, guys, you guys out there listening right now, make sure to share this episode on social media. If you're getting value from it, which I know you are, tag Bobby, official Bobby Castro, tag myself. And guys, with that, have a monumental day.